Okay, welcome back to Morning at NTV. Friday's edition is having an extension at Seeta High School this morning with Chris Igenyi as they observe Senior 6 students making their final preparations ahead of the start of their national examinations that is due on Monday. So we want to check on Chris Igenyi and find out, today is supposed to be a briefing for the school and students. What's the ambience over there, Chris?
Yeah, here.
Okay, so as they are at Seeta High School, of course, this is a school that is well known to be one of the performing schools within the district. And on that regard, we want to find out what are the expectations. One, of course, from the leadership of the school, the administration of the school. What are the expectations? How prepared are the Senior 6 students? Things have changed a little bit these days. Back in the day, your school would be from maybe 6 a.m. to 5:30 or 6 p.m. The trajectory has changed because of competitiveness in education, and so you end up having students studying day and night, and we have seen that with the P7 students. The other day we were walking by in the evening and we saw young students, primary school going students, with heavy bags on their shoulders, and they were coming from school. Time check, by the way, having been 9 p.m. And so what has it been like for the preparation of the Senior 6 candidates? Chris Igenyi?
Presented over the last few years, given the fact that there are changes, including to the curriculum, that is aimed at ensuring inclusive quality education in the country. There will also be on-spot assessment of the review of the current curriculum by the officials here, and we shall also understand what preparations are underway, especially in light of the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education exam that is coming your way in the few days. I understand the briefing is today, and we shall have some bit of updates on that. Before I introduce the guests, let me just take you through what this particular preamble is about. According to recent data, the literacy rates in Uganda are around 79%, which is lower than some neighboring countries, especially Kenya, which stands at 82%, and Tanzania at 80%. This suggests that there may be some challenges in the education system that need to be addressed as quickly as possible in order to improve the education system in the country. In action learning to SDG 4, it is understood by 2030, Ugandans should ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable and quality primary and secondary education that will be relevant to what is described as goal for effective learning outcomes. Senior 6 students are pretty much an integral part of that, especially in light of the exam that they will be sitting. I'm now joined on set by Sebakalu Boniface, the headmaster of Seeta High School, Mukono, as well as Obo Alan Warayamo, the headmaster of Seeta High School main campus. Gentlemen, welcome to Morning at NTV. We are at Seeta High School, the main campus, and I'll begin with Mr. Sebakalu Boniface. The Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education is due to get underway next week. Today, I understand, is the briefing. First, bring us up to speed where you were in terms of preparations as an institution and as big as Seeta High School, but most importantly, the readiness of the candidates this time around.
Well, thank you, Chris.
A good morning to all our viewers on NTV. Today we are briefing Senior 6 candidates, USCE, and I want to let you know that as always we have done, Seeta High School, we always prepare our children to be the best. Right from the start, when they are joining Senior 5 or Senior 1, we prepare them to be the best. And today, we are pretty sure that we have completed the syllabus as they ought to have it. We don't have any stone unturned. Two, we have exposed them to different resourceful persons. Apart from us attending to them, we also bring in other experts to ensure that our children are well prepared, and then to build that confidence. So today, as we prepare them for the upcoming USCA exams. Actually, the first exam is today. Briefing is the first exam. We are sure come Monday, they are well prepared. They are going to, they're just ready to get those A's and top this country.
All right, very interesting submission, but a lot of optimism, which is very understandable. Earlier, I had made a bit of a mismatch. You are the headmaster at Seeta High School, Mukono.
Yes.
And Albo Alan Warayamo is the headmaster at Seeta High School main campus, and this is the main campus. All right, so Mr. Warayamo, the new curriculum rollout has had a few challenges, especially with regard to adaptation. First, on the part of the teachers, but also the students. Bring us up to speed with how Seeta High School is rolling this out, and if there are any challenges, how exactly are they being handled?
Thank you very much, Chris. Good morning, viewers. First of all, I want to thank the government for rolling out this new curriculum. I believe it is one of the best curriculum that was delayed to come. But finally, with the new curriculum, we appreciate. Of course, beginning anything always has challenges. First of all, starting, you could not say that with the students, I think there was no problem. Because they were coming from P7, they've never been in the new curriculum, they've never been in the old curriculum. Therefore, the students were ready to receive anything that does what comes their way. But the teacher needed some preparation. The parent needed some preparation. Why the teacher? Because the teacher has been teaching the old curriculum. The old curriculum is teacher-centered. The new curriculum is student-centered. Actually, it is in the previous curriculum, we would say teacher, student. Now we say student, teacher, because the student leads us. You get in the class, the student should come up with his or her ideas of what he knows about an incident, and then the teacher builds on that. It is long before those would say, you would come, where did we stop last week? Now, if you don't know where we stopped last week, of course you cannot move on. But now you will come and the student introduces the topic, you may introduce the topic, and the student gives you the driver, then you move on. There have been challenges, as you said, that some schools have not yet fully embraced the new curriculum. There are challenges in terms of adopting, especially those who are slow to adopting to change. They continue teaching the old way, and yet the new way is a scenario-based what? Teaching. Those days you would ask, how do you reach Kampala? What is the way to Kampala? The way to Kampala is the Seeta Road. You get on Seeta Road, you're to Kampala. The scenario-based system, you can explain, I get out of class, I get on the roadside, I board a taxi from Seeta or reach Bweyogerere, from Bweyogerere. And a student may say that from Bweyogerere, I may branch off and take some fuel. If the vehicle is out, you keep giving a mark at every point. There are no wrong answers as previous. Those days I said, no, if you give this mark, they will give you a wrong tick. But you've got to look at the creativity of the student, the thinking. Is the student thinking? How is he thinking? How is he bringing aspects onto paper? And then you keep giving the student marks accordingly. Now, the other challenge with the new curriculum, especially with the urban setting, because you are supposed to use the locally found materials, maybe to come up with the projects. In my thinking, I would think again the rural schools would even be at an advantage in this new curriculum. How? Because they tell you using locally found materials. Locally found. Now, when you come here using locally found material in a setting like this, you may find that most of the materials you've got to purchase them. If you want palm leaves, you've got to go now to the rural setting and buy palm leaves. Now, what is locally found here are plastic bottles in it. And you'll find most of the projects that are being done in the urban setting, they are on plastic and so forth. So there is need for more creativity on the side of the teacher, more creativity on the side of the student. But again, at the end of the day, there's also some expenses on the side of the what? The parent to run, provide the materials, to manage these projects. But on the whole, it is one of the best curriculum that I would say we'd like to start it.
Let me just get into the specifics of the need and the cost on the part of the parent to provide certain material, as you say, locally found material to be used in the rollout of this particular curriculum. There has been concern over the years that some schools have not actually put themselves in the shoes of the parents in order to allow them to adopt quickly, especially in terms of provision, because most parents, there's fluctuation in terms of income. One can manage, another cannot. The one who can't is expected to find some sort of arrangement that can allow for them to be able to provide some of these particular aspects. I know Seeta High School is private, but within the UPE and USE setting, that could be a grave challenge. You have colleagues within the association who are managing these schools. What is the sentiment like? Let me hear this from Mr. Sebakalu.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chris. In the new curriculum, we look at what the learner can do at the end of the instruction, rather than what the child knows. That was what was in the old curriculum. As parents cannot run away from certain facts in the new curriculum. For example, in the previous curriculum, most of the learning was taking place in the classroom. You would sit in the classroom and assume so many things. You and I studied about New York and the problems that they are facing, and even we solved them. And nowadays, you can't do that. The curriculum necessitates you to go to the field. Actually, in almost every trip, every topic you study, for example, I want to give an example of in CRE. The children will study a topic like charity, because there are values you want to build in them. So at the end of that topic, they are supposed to exercise it, supposed to be practical. So you're supposed to identify a community where there are people that need charitable work, and then you go and do something. So when you are going to do charity, you don't go with empty hands. You don't do charity with a prayer, okay? Even the Bible talks about it, that a faith without action is what? Is dead. So parents have got to, in most cases, to part away with some resources to facilitate their children to go and have an experience of the field. For example, in biology, if you are talking about nature, you've got to go to the places where what you are talking about is found, and then the children have that experience, and then they write a report about it. Okay. Two, when we are in the new curriculum, children are supposed to, as a learning outcome, they are supposed to exercise their skills, the skills they have obtained in the new curriculum in a way of doing project work. Because project work will, after a child has gone through a number of topics in a given learning area, we used to call them subjects. Nowadays they are called learning areas. So that child is supposed to, either as a group or as an individual, they are supposed to sit down and generate a project. And most of the project call for some funding. Now, schools like Seeta, the school will facilitate the project. But then we have schools that do have insufficient funds, and that means that the parent has got to part away with some money. For example, there are schools where parents have got to contribute some money for lunch, for example. Okay? But when you come to urban schools, it is different. Maybe it is incorporated in the school fees, or there are certain expenses that schools are partnered with. So as a parent, I want to say that the new curriculum is very good, but you cannot run away from some of those expenses that are associated with activities.
Yeah.
And maybe probably to add on, Chris, that the new curriculum, when you come up with a project, the project you're coming up has to be solving a community challenge.
Yeah.
A community challenge. Now, depending on the community you are in, you're supposed to come up with a project that solves a local challenge. So it also depends that you may find that use, for example, the challenges that they have in that community may not be similar to the challenges that you have in the urban schools. In the urban schools, a child will want a computer to solve a certain problem using technology. In a youth setup, the challenge might be, how do we come up with safe drinking water? And you've got to go maybe to clear a well somewhere. So projects are within your level or your area where you are. It's community issues.
So when it comes to the examination of this particular candidate or student, UNEB leaves the provision to you to determine what particular project it is, or they have a set of priority areas that they would consider ahead of others.
Now, every subject you're doing has a project, and we have the syllabi that has been set for us. Now, for you, when you go through the syllabi, you look at the activities of integration, you come up, you're not dictated upon that you've got to come up with such and such a project. So the teacher sits with the students. The students come up with their project. The teacher is supposed to support them and guide them. The teacher doesn't dictate the project. UNEB doesn't dictate the project. The students, in their own setup, in their own group, as individuals, as a group, they come and say, we are going to solve such and such a problem. And then for us, our work is simply to guide them as they progress in their projects.
Okay. All right. There have been concerns in the run-up to final exams, that is a primary leaving exam, Uganda Certificate of Education exam, as well as the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education exam. And the concern has been about defaulters and the inability by some parents to be able to clear tuition and fees in time. But we all know there was a directive that was issued some time back by UNEB that if a student or a candidate is unable to complete fees or tuition on time, they can be allowed to sit the exam, but their name submitted to UNEB so that the results are not relayed via USSD, that is the SMS that parents can quickly obtain these exams. However, we find reports of some head teachers continuing to bar students from sitting these exams. They have their reasons. Others say the costs of managing schools are very high, and that if we set a precedent that a student or a candidate can sit the exam without clearing the tuition, then everyone will assume that they can do the exam without finishing the fees, and it will become another cost on their part. How is Seeta High and the branches that it operates tackling this particular challenge?
I think that is a perfect directive by the ministry. I've told you for the last 4 years.
That's right.
I should be knowing your capacity to pay or not to pay for the past 4 years. Now, I also go ahead and even register you. That means I have the muscle even to register. Then after registering as a candidate, we reach the final day, you tell me I'm not going to sit examinations. What have you been doing all along to collect money from me? I think it is very unfair on the side of the parent, on the side of the student. At one time or another, people get stuck along the way. So I would appeal also to the teachers, let the children sit, and then you hold the certificate. Even if these results were released on the SMS system. But at one time, there is a time when the original will be wanted until you clear. You can't get the original. You can't get a job. But as you're asking about Seeta High, we are not very unique. We are not very unique. I would say we also sometimes have those who may not. But I mean, I've told you for the last 4 years, this is just 1 month you're going to do examination. No, why would I buy you? All our students sit examinations with the full or no or a half payment. They sit. But later on, The fees is recovered.
There's a mechanism for...
Yeah, you recover the money.
Simply retain
The certificate, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, Mr. Chris, to add on, what head teachers out there should know is that we are not supposed to operate as machines. Because machines are programmed to think in a certain way, to execute programs the way they have been programmed. When a parent and a child come to you, in the first place they are clients, and the clients are supposed to be treated as clients, as customers. You are supposed to be humane. There are instances when you are supposed to exercise that value of being humane. You put yourself in the shoes of this parent. I want to give you an example. Currently, the economy is not doing is not good to most of the people generally. You may have a parent, for example, like in our case, you may have a parent who has 4 children in your school, and this parent has cleared for the 3 and has this 1 child. Okay, so when the parent comes and is asking for that lenience, I will say first clear for the senior 1 student, the senior 2, and the other. Then I say maybe the candidate last, because I know, first of all, this child is going to has been prepared. Is going to have a certificate at the end of the day. So that means there is something I can, at least I can resort to in case I want to recover this money. So what I appeal to the head teachers, there are certain instances when you just simply have to be humane and act that way, other than going through those hassles. And at the end of the day, the government has to put the child at the what? The upper hand. Thank you.
Let's return to something I do consider very integral to shaping any one education system. Digital technologies in this time, in our times, are very, very important, to the extent that there is a shift. For some schools, it's very easy because you're either in the urban areas, you're well funded as private institutions. But then there are schools that are not well funded and can struggle to adopt to these particular technologies. Yet at the same time, the candidates and students are heading for one exam at the end of the day. Laboratories are ill-equipped in rural areas, while laboratories in schools, including Seeta High, are up to standard. And that brings a bit of a challenge. Within your workings as associations within the education sector, what is the conversation like? What do you hear from the headmasters in rural areas, and how is the adaptation, especially by the people who make the decisions? That is the Minister of Education, government, the National Council, all these other stakeholders. What's the conversation like? Because I'm sure it's not a case of because we can afford, we shouldn't care about those who can't.
First of all, we should get back to the head teacher. The cries are there, but we are here. I'm the headmaster of Seeta High School main campus. He's the headmaster of Umbalala. But as a matter of fact, when you go into our backgrounds, we came from rural schools. We studied in rural schools. We are managing these urban first-class schools, but we studied in rural schools. But we are here. But how did we manage to go through those rural schools without laboratories, without what? Creativity of the head teacher. Creativity of the head teacher. Yes, because there is a school I studied in, my O-level didn't have a laboratory. But I mean, time for doing examination, you would bring the apparatuses into a class, into a room, and we'll do experiments. Physics, you may not necessarily need a laboratory to do physics. They bring for you dry cells, they bring wires, they bring a table, and you can make a bulb light. But you know, there is also that mentality, the government should have a pass, the government has done this, and then people are not going ahead to help the students, help the children. Pass. When will the government come in? It is true we should appeal to the government to play their part, to assist the urban schools, avail them with laboratories, avail them with computers. But I mean, where they are not, let the head teacher have a heart for this child, because you don't know what this child is going to be tomorrow. And get a way out for this child to the practicals.
But Mr. Chris, to add on, maybe when we look at rural schools, not all rural schools do not have the facility. I want to thank the government. We have what we call the youth schools, the city schools, and the government-aided schools. Most of these schools, whether in rural areas, they have the facility. They have the laboratory equipment, they have the computer labs and the rest. But what frustrates some of those schools is the fact that the facilitators, the teachers, are doing them a disservice. They don't give them enough time. They don't give enough time to children in such places, in preference for the urban schools where probably they get relatively some good amount of money. Good enough government is now doing its best by increasing the take home. You see, the quality of education also depends on the quality of the teacher and the level of motivation. So I want to thank government that it is doing good job in terms of motivation, but maybe the private players, the private schools should also ensure that as they start venturing into the education sector, at least there should be minimal standards. Yeah.
And Chris, a quick one. I visited a rural school, and the equipment, the apparatus are kept in the headmaster's office. And the students have only chance to touch those things during the examinations. What have you been doing keeping those things in the office?
That's a good one. I think for any head teacher out there in any school that is far-flung from the urban centers should be in position to avail some of these equipment to the students so that they can be able to undertake some of the practical aspects of their learning that they should be able to. We are unable to speak to the education official from Mukono Education Service Commission, or is it the District Education Office, who was supposed to offer us some very great insight into how the transition is being made, especially to ensure that the teachers that are being brought into to teach and roll out the curriculum are also receiving the very best possible instruction in the national teachers' colleges. That question will, of course, be put to her, and I hope later in our subsequent broadcasts on AT NTV we shall be able to address some of those issues. We are now joined by some of the students at Seeta High School main campus. I have with me, if you can stand just right there, Kusima Benedict is the name I can clearly see for now, but of course you're going to have to say your names again. A very good morning. How are you? Your name, class?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Kusima Benedict. I am in Senior 3.
Senior 3. Okay.
My name is Namkose Zainab and I am in Form 1.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity given to me. I'm Mwasa Rian from Form 2.
Do you guys get instruction in public speaking? Is there a particular learning area, for example, where you are told to speak in public? You do? What has happened? As you are low speakers, aren't you confident? Let me begin with the gentleman. Within the learning areas that your teachers are rolling out here at the main campus, Seeta High, what do you see as the critical challenges, and what is different, for example, from anything you've heard or seen anywhere? It could be on the internet, I'm sure you do some browsing, and you can quickly relate and say, I think it should be this, or what you're doing is pretty much looks like what you're going to do. Just also experiences. How is the learning in your class?
Well, the learning so far is a bit, would say it's nice at some point, and obviously we have to thank our dear school because they have tried as much as possible for us as learners to be able to access like the internet. We have smart classes,
Okay.
whereby we can access each and everything that we need, like the website sites and like YouTube, whereby we can find, for example, a physics teacher can give you an assignment and it's like, let me put for a video on YouTube and watch and we relate on what we are learning and what we are having. Yes.
We don't have more than 1 minute, so please take now.
Let me go to, is it Zainab? Quickly, what's your experience like?
Being a first-year student in secondary, I really didn't expect to catch up so quickly, but thanks to the CPC, I have been able to catch up quickly with the new way that things are going. First of all, we have smart classes, and outside...
You have smart what?
Smart classes.
Smart classes, yeah.
And outside, our parents have been providing phones and other ICT gadgets.
All right.
Which I didn't expect to have at school, because according to the way things were in the past, I didn't expect it to also have smart classes here at school, but they've provided them for us.
All right. Okay, quickly, Bernadette, wrap this up for us, your experience.
Thank you very much. And as you can see, I'm in Form 3, so we are the first lot of the CBC. And so far, yeah, so far so good. And we want to thank Seeta High School, because I believe that because of this school, they have done each and everything possible to ensure that we acquire the different skills, creativity, innovation. When it comes to the project work, our teachers are always there to ensure that do this right, because at the end of the day, we want to be those people that will create jobs, and we don't want to be like the high employment rates that are so far in our country, Uganda, today.
All right, wow, very interesting submissions there by the students at Seeta High School main campus. We now go for a short break, but of course, do stay with us. Morning at NTV does continue. We are coming to you live from Seeta High School main campus here along